Hi, Amanda.
Hey, Marissa, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. Excited to be here.
Today, we're going to talk holidays. What is your favorite holiday?
Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday.
Oh, that's my favorite holiday too.
All about food and all about, there's no big expectations outside of just eating. And I like
Yeah,
to eat.
I love Thanksgiving. I like cooking, and it's nice to cook things that are the same, like your traditional
Yeah.
dishes that you know how to do, you know how they smell. I always look forward to Thanksgiving. And sometimes we do like the turkey trot in the
Yeah. Yeah.
morning.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We used to do that a lot before Gregory, and then we've wanted to, we got one of those special needs push stroller
The
things,
strollers. Yeah.
the really like oversized one, because obviously he's too big for a baby stroller now. And every year my husband are like, we're gonna sign up for the turkey trot. We're gonna push Gregory, and we bought T-shirts to wear over our like sweatshirts, and every year thinking, oh, this is gonna be a great thing. And then every year he's sick. Every year he's sick for Thanksgiving. We've never been
Oh,
able to do it.
I know
Yeah,
that a lot of people also appreciate the sales. So,
right, yeah. Black Friday. It's hard because special needs toys or adaptive toys don't tend to go on, they don't go on the Black Friday sale. That kind of stuff that you might shop for, you're not really going to get deals on ever.
no, what you need is never
Hmm.
on sale
No,
in the adapted world.
it's really not. Do you find that some holidays are more challenging for you and Ava than other holidays?
Well, I used to find about every holiday challenging, I think, for different reasons. But, I've kind of allowed myself to slowly let go of expectations and traditions that I had attached to these holidays and had expected to go on. And maybe not even just for me, but in the earlier years, my in laws would come. It'd be the only time they'd see the kids. And it was chaotic and nobody was very happy. And the stress could sometimes just creep in and take over. So I've allowed myself to let go of some of the things that added to holiday stress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing that I always like is the anticipation and the getting ready and the planning. I like all of that stuff and the decorating and the activities. I'm a big arts and crafts person, and even when I was pregnant with Gregory, I had a Pinterest board and I would pin these baby arts and crafts, baby Christmas arts and crafts and toddler projects and things that were specific to holidays. I feel like there's always so many of those, and all of those things that I really would look forward to doing. And then the reality is I either have to adapt the things or it's just not feasible to do them at all. And in the beginning, it was difficult to deal with that emotionally because it was something that I had looked forward to.
Sometimes I just don't do things anymore. If Ava doesn't want to do it, if I want to do it more than Ava, that's just my answer. But I felt when she was younger that, we needed to do these things, whether it was carve pumpkins. I was really big into the purple pumpkin and epilepsy stuff. So I used to spray paint pumpkins and I had a lot of pumpkins that I would carve. And I learned very quickly, Ava's sensory profile. She doesn't love soft and she doesn't like anything about pumpkin cleaning. Like
Yes,
the things that some kids like, she didn't want to touch it.
I
She
don't
doesn't
like
want to
that
smell
either.
it.
I hate that. I hate carving pumpkins.
So, I mean, Halloween would probably in another life been my favorite holiday just because I like that time of year. Fall is my favorite time of year. I enjoy carving pumpkins. I like to see all the kids dressed up. I don't dress up. I don't like candy, but I always enjoyed it. And Ava costumes is a whole other thing that was not, it was just a fight. She doesn't want makeup on, she doesn't want anything on her head. You run out of ideas. You can only
Yeah.
be a ghost so many times, right?
No,
So
I know.
I kind of shifted that stuff to, she can do that at school at whatever level she decides she's going to participate.
Yeah. It's kind of like what's for you versus what's for your kid, right? And what are the things that you want, but realistically are not what your kid wants. I remember last year, this past Halloween was fine. I didn't have any like emotional issues at all around Halloween this year, but last year I found myself feeling really blah about the whole thing. And I had always dressed Gregory up in a costume, and of course he doesn't pick his costume because he can't communicate enough to do that. And I remember posting in the Facebook support group that we have how I was feeling just kind of down about the whole Halloween, and I was considering not even dressing him up. And of course, everybody's very sympathetic. And then somebody commented, I've always felt Halloween was very performative for our kids anyway. And it's that whole idea of the parents doing it more for them
Mhm.
than for the kid.
Mhm.
And there's nothing wrong with that
Mhm.
because, you know, it's fun to dress your kid up. And even if Gregory doesn't really know what we're doing or doesn't really care, there is value in having memories and experiences for me too. But it really took a lot of pressure off of me when they made that comment
Yeah.
because I thought, you know what, you're right. It is for me dressing him up at this
Mhm.
stage in his life, and I don't have to do it if I'm not feeling up to it.
Well, and I think oftentimes you really feel like an outsider, trick or treating, right? It's a community
Mm,
event. Like, they've wood fire pizza in my neighborhood. People are out, there's chili cook-offs, there's people just everywhere. They play movies on garage doors. And sometimes you feel when you go out and try to attempt those things, I think our attempt is to feel like we belong or that there's a place for us in the community. And, sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. So I just got to where if Ava's loud and she's not enjoying being out and whatever activity we're doing, I'm like, okay, this is, Ava's not as worried about this as maybe I am. So,
yeah.
I try to, I don't know, try to think about all of the reasons we hold on to some of these feelings of like wanting to try to do what everyone else is doing. And it's iterative and it's a long road, I think,
Hmm.
to get to where you can accept, wherever your place lands. Maybe it's you're a great holiday family and you can take it all in and really enjoy it. And maybe you're on the opposite end of this is really hard and I like my normal routine and schedule. Because
Hmm.
I'm kind of on the I like our normal routine and schedule.
I remember the beginning years with Gregory, especially like his first Christmas, that was really hard for me. I had bought him for Christmas that year when he was a baby. I guess maybe it must have been his second Christmas because he was over a year old and was doing Switch toys in like
Mhm.
early intervention. And I bought him a Switch toy, My Pal Scout. It's like a
Mhm.
green dog
Yeah.
and it plays different songs and different things, and you had to preload it with your kids' favorites, and favorites are is always like a hardship for me, for probably a lot of us because I don't know what Gregory's favorite whatever is, I don't know what his favorite things are. He was still eating by mouth then, and he seemed like he liked to eat carrots, so when it said, like the pureed baby food carrots, so one of the prompts was like, "What's your favorite food?" So I put carrots. And what's your favorite color? And I put red because of his CVI, red
Mhm.
was his like
Mhm.
preferred color. So things like that. But
Aw.
anyway, I loaded it and Christmas Day came and we opened it, put the batteries in. We was sitting with my husband and we had the Switch and it was singing this song about friendship and being your friend. And I just cried, just
Aw.
cried and cried because I didn't know, is he going to have friends? I don't know. Like I just cried and cried and cried. Um, that was my hardest Christmas, I think.
Well, there's so many like like there's, so much stuff in our society centered around these firsts, right? In the baby
Hmm.
books. Also, social media. I'm old enough that Facebook was not a thing. We had MySpace a long time ago, but you didn't like have it in your face what everybody else was doing that you weren't. And
Hmm.
I know comparison is the thief of joy. I know all of that, but it's just that reminder of I'm not sitting in a classroom with Ava and her peers and seeing a difference. I'm at home, but I can still see the deviation between her and her peers and how we're navigating this holiday and whatnot. So yeah. I mean, I
Do
still
you?
struggle with Christmas. Ava loves lights. Ava loves the Christmas
Yeah.
tree. I do not like to put the Christmas tree up. It's one of the least favorite things I do all year, but I do it for her. She loves that aspect. She could care less about presents. She
Hmm.
likes the paper sometimes. She's not going to open it. She could care less about that stuff. She likes her grandma comes, those kinds of things. But I have decided that fair is not equal, I guess. Like Ava doesn't need to have the same amount of presents under the, tree as her sister, as an
Right.
example. Like they have different needs, and I've allowed myself to parent them the way they need to, be parented from that
Yeah.
aspect.
Do you wrap gifts at all for Ava or no, you don't wrap them?
I do. Well, actually, you know what I do a lot is put them in a nice little Christmas bag.
Well, that's what I started doing. So I used to wrap gifts for Gregory, and then, of course, I'm opening them, or my husband's opening them with him, hand over hand or whatever. And I'm so over that. So what I got a couple different sacks personalized with his name. and I'll put multiple things in there. And so it's, he's got one big sack that has whatever's in that he's getting in there, and we pull them out one at a time. And yeah, I don't really wrap anything anymore.
Well, let me ask you this. A lot of times we're still buying things for our children that are made for much younger children,
Hmm.
and the packaging. It takes like 10 minutes to
Yes.
get stuff. So do you take it out of the package before you put it in the bag?
No, I don't unwrap stuff that's packaged. Well, he's not like Gregory's not jonesing to open it.
Right. So you in your time
like,
afterwards.
yeah. Oh, look
Yeah.
what you got. And,
Yeah.
open it later.
Yeah.
And then I'm embarrassed, not embarrassed, but like, something funny is sometimes we won't open it at all, and it'll go in the closet and we'll give it again.
The-
It opened the first time. Is
yeah.
that terrible?
No, that's not terrible at all because, honestly, there's just so much stuff. That's, Ava doesn't care about stuff. So,
Right.
I got better about getting her things, a sensory thing. If what helps is a sling swing, and I've got to spend a bunch of money on that, then that's a good thing to put aside until Christmas, right?
Oh, yeah.
Or whatever holiday, maybe her birthday or
Birthday, yeah.
whatnot. And one thing that I've started to do is Ava loves Mylar balloons, always has the shiny Mylar balloons. And so Ava gets like huge Mylar balloons from grandma, myself, whoever. And, she's good with that kind of stuff.
What does she do?
Visual.
What does she do with the balloon?
So Ava likes to check out the balloons, but we'll put them on her bed, and Ava will sometimes bop at them. She'll pull on the strings, like they make a weird noise. When they pull down, they have like that hollow echo.
Yeah.
So this is a big sensory thing with her, and it's something back to our kids having CDI. No matter if I let go of it and it bounces around the ceiling in her room, like it's something that she can follow and see. And I suspect that the fact that she can differentiate shiny things from everything else going on in her room is what makes it so enjoyable. But
Yeah. Well, Gregory really likes balloons too. And it never occurred to me to get him balloons at Christmas time, but I think that's a good idea. I think I'm actually going to get some Christmas balloons for him because he will bop them if they have to be pretty close to his body because he doesn't reach, but he definitely notices them. And I have a video of him where he's noticing the balloon and then looking away and bopping it and then looking back, which is that like classic CBI, like look away kind of thing. Yeah, he likes balloons too. And I'll sometimes clip the string down like on his shirt with like a chip clip or something just to keep it near him. And if he's rolling, it'll move. You're right, it makes that sound. Yeah, it never occurred to me to get balloons for like Christmas. I think I'm going to do that.
Our grocery stores always have
ours
holiday
do too.
specific balloons. So like you can get the green for the Christmases, the blue for the Hanukkah, like whatever flavor of holiday you're celebrating. I feel like I can kind of, pick from a variety of colors and shapes that mix it up. So it's because, something more than the round birthday balloons or whatnot.
Right.
So
They have like turkey shaped ones for Thanksgiving too. That's so funny. I'm totally going to do that.
Like, that's what they like. Like things don't matter. Money doesn't matter. They're not thinking about the things that that they're not trying to, we're trying to meet expectations that they don't have. That's maybe the best way to put it.
Yeah. They're not sad that they're not getting the latest toy. It's more about leaning into what they do enjoy and being okay with that. Yeah.
So I feel like one of the biggest struggles I observe, especially when holidays roll around or birthdays, is like, what are you guys going to buy for your kids? Like that's in a support group, right? Everybody wants to know, like, what are you buying? And Amazon links fly.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know about Ava, but Gregory doesn't get tired of toys. So, if he's still using something, how many toys does someone really need? If he has things to play with that he'll play with, then you don't really need. I find the hardest thing is when people ask me what he wants.
Yeah.
So I have started gifts that could work for Gregory list on Amazon. And if I come across something, I'll just throw it in there because inevitably people are going to ask me, what does he want? And he really doesn't want for anything. You know what I want to get him is a new bike, but they're like $4,500. Like
maybe
he wants a new bike.
Maybe you should just have a bucket, like a savings account in your name and have people contribute to that or something.
That's what I was thinking. And I actually think I got to look more into this, but I thought I came across an adaptive bike I don't know if it's a nonprofit or if it's a company, but I think you can create a fundraising link
Yeah, yeah.
to collect money towards
Mhm.
your bike.
Bike.
And so I gotta look more into that because that would be really cool. We were gifted a hand-me-down Freedom Concepts bike from another family in town that our physical therapist connected us to. And it's been so fabulous, but he's really outgrowing it. And it wasn't customized for him. Like, so it's the back is
Right,
really straight,
right.
as opposed to having like a little bit of a recline, which would be better for him. It doesn't have any lateral support, which if it did, that would be better for him. So, it'd be nice to really get one that it fits him better and is customized more to support him. But I mean, we love taking him on that bike around we're fortunate to have a pretty big driveway, a circular driveway. So, I mean, that's been so fun, but the cost is just
Yeah.
outrageous. Some of those things that you see that you think, oh, this could really work for my kid, like the bubble tubes and the sensory things, and the cost is just
Yeah.
it's really difficult.
It's ridiculous. And
Mhm.
also, especially for her birthdays and stuff now, I've tried to move more towards experiences. We
Yeah.
have a Meow Wolf in Denver, which is if you want a sensory experience, go to a Meow Wolf, right? But getting her out, she likes the panoramic museums, any kind of history museum that has boxed panoramic displays. She enjoys those places. It's dark, but the box is lit in whatever world you're walking through. It's different for her.
Yeah, and those always make good gifts, experiences. I think every time I've taken Gregory to something, like we went to the Van Gogh show where it was all lights around and you
Mhm.
walked through like the Van Gogh exhibit. And we've gone to the zoo a couple times when they've had that glow wild where it's lights and it's nighttime. We even took him to a play once. They did a sensory Christmas carol at a local theater. And every time I'm getting ready to have an outing with him, there is an element of anxiety. Like, how is this going to go? Is he going to have a big seizure and draw attention? How accessible really is it going to be? How is the parking? Parking really stresses me out. How is the parking? And if there's not a handicap accessible parking spot, it really challenges us to find where we can, drop him off. But it's not a quick drop off to like get him out. And just I don't know. As a whole, we had that with the Glow Wild. You would think the handicap spots would be open, but not necessarily. A lot of people use handicap spots.
Mm,
And when you have a van, you have to have one that has the access
the
area that you
access.
need. So it doesn't always, there's not always as many of those. We got lucky this time that there was a nice big spot for us. But, there's all that anticipation, but never have I regretted after it's over doing it because Gregory really does seem to love the new environment, the new experiences, the different sights and the sounds. And he's not somebody who is easily overwhelmed by that, or he seems to really like new things. Sometimes I think our life is too boring for him. so he's like, wow, we're out somewhere doing something. And
No, I think
but
that's true. We get complacent. We're human. We tend to I think many of us tend to take the path of least resistance. And we're tired. We're caregiving all the time. So, like, anything extra is a really heavy lift. And then there's these people involved. Like, that's the other thing. Ava loves people. She's social. But some people, as well meaning as they are, I just have to take a breath and smile and walk on by. It's some days I am ready to talk about it, ready to deal with rudeness, misunderstandings, and some days it's all I can do not to, address somebody in a way that I don't want to address people, right? It's unpredictable. Maybe that's where it's at. It's unpredictable when we go into the community and do things we haven't done before, so not always
yeah,
up for unpredictability
right.
depending on the day.
Do you find that you have some negative experiences when you're out in the community with people judging Ava or being rude about her?
I don't feel like it's nearly as much as when she was smaller. I don't know if that's because time goes on, but I don't know how many well-meaning, I'll just say grandmas, they had to be, wanted to lecture me about Ava being in a stroller when she was old enough to walk. And in those days, I might not have slept for the last 48 to even up to 72 hours. There were times that I wouldn't have slept for days. And I mean, their Target is the closest place to me to get her meds. And so I felt like it was always Target where I was like, what did you just say to me? So,
Yeah. I've only had that
um,
experience once. with Gregory being in a stroller, because he very quickly moved to the more wheelchair looking type thing. And so once he was in that more supported seat with the harness and everything, like people recognized that there was something going on with him. But when I used to use the regular baby stroller for a very short period of time, I had him in there. And I went into a shop and it was summertime and he had no shoes on. Well, he doesn't walk.
Yeah.
And it was summertime, he had no shoes on and he was in the stroller. And somebody in the aisle said to me, "He's never going to walk if you don't put shoes on him." And I was like, first of all, shocked that they were talking to me and then said that. And I just said, "He's never going to walk anyway." So I didn't.
I mean, good for you. And that is like, it probably, I mean, if they have a heart, they hopefully were, I'm sure they were humiliated. I shouldn't say I'm sure though, because
God.
the people who say that stuff sometimes are, a little bit of me feels like hopefully we're all getting out in the community more and people see this more and it's less and less stigmatized, or, sometimes it's pity. I don't want your pity, right? Like we live life this way and you can't feel sorry for her. She does not feel sorry for herself.
I took Gregory to walk around like a local, it's not really a track, it's like a little walking circular path. And my husband was with me and we were pushing him just for a walk outside. It was a nice day. And there was a dad and his son must have been like 5. And he was playing on the tree. And as we would walk by, the kid would lock eyes on Gregory and then follow him until like craning all the way around, craning his neck, just like staring it down. It was like he had never seen a kid like that before. And he was just shocked.
Yeah, it never entered his mind that little people might have a challenge like that. I don't think that people think about it much until it's right in their face. And then they're embarrassed that their kids are acting that way. And instead of making it a positive experience, like, let's go say hi or something, they're like mortified and like trying to shut up if they're asking questions or don't stare, And I'm like, just come say hi, it's all good.
Yeah. I know. I ended up waving Gregory's hand and like, hello. And the kid was like really surprised. Do you find that you have things that you do to support yourself and your emotions around the holiday times?
Well, I think one of the biggest things was just allowing myself to take it as it comes, not lock myself into some idea about how things are going to go, and relax. That, mindfulness is not something I've mastered. As Ava's gotten bigger, I've gotten a lot better at trying to go to the gym or to get some time away where my mind can just not think about or focus on things. If I'm feeling not good about something, I do try to change my mindset in whatever way I can, in whatever time set I can, right? Like you can't always get up and leave, or you can't always go have a nap, or some days it's like, I just like to have a shower.
Right.
So I think kind of trying to identify, I've gotten better with trying to identify with what, I hate to say trigger, but it is like, what am I not, facing that is really causing this? Is it, my expectation? Is it somebody else's expectation? And I think I have a lot less stress with our family. I've had a big change in our family dynamic over the last 3 years. I'm divorced. We live in separate houses. We're not very far from each other. But, the one thing that I was sure I wrote into the divorce decree was Christmas Eve, because when I was a kid, we opened presents on Christmas Eve. And when we got up in the morning, Santa's stuff was there. It was not wrapped. And the girl's father had like the opposite thing going on. So he wanted like one present on Christmas Eve. So I was like, all right, this is the only holiday that I'm staking my ground, right? And so even with them being back and forth between houses and stuff, I just like, whatever day, if you want Thursday for Thanksgiving, I'll have my turkey dinner on Friday. I've just learned to, make it about what matters to me and the kids. And as her sister gets older, that is evolving as well. And then my mom is a big part of our life. So she's very chill about things. She doesn't make me feel like we have to do X, Y, or Z. That has been a big, big help. Even birthday parties. When Ava was little, I hated planning a birthday party. And it would be like my friends and their kids. I mean, people would come. It wasn't that it wasn't a party, but just trying to host, even if it was in a park or someplace else, was extremely stressful. And if I had to do this over again, I probably wouldn't have done birthday parties after like age 2 or 3 even, because it didn't, Ava doesn't care what day of the week it is. If she wants to see you and she sees you, she's good with it. So, I guess I wish I would have been a little easier on myself a little earlier.
Yeah.
How about you?
Well, like I said before, really into what are the different like craft things or decorating things or things that make our home environment different because it's special, because it's a holiday. So instead of focusing on things that involve Gregory that I might have disappointment with, like doing a craft and he doesn't want to touch it. And then I'm trying to make accommodations and make it something that he might like and he still doesn't want to do it. Instead of setting myself up for that disappointment, I try and focus on the things that I can control that are just about me. So even if it's something dumb like, I've purchased myself a new holiday mug and I'm going to drink my coffee out of this holiday mug. And that makes me smile because it's really pretty and it's just for me. Little things like that where I can have something that feels special, but that doesn't depend on anybody else's participation.
Well, small things, that's a good point. Like really small things can be can really provide like a nice little, I feel better.
Right. This is
Right.
nice. It's special. It's something different. And the other thing that's really nice is, Gregory's in school. Thank God for the school system. And they go pretty late before winter break. And there's usually a time where my husband will take a day and Gregory will still be in school. And so we'll have this time where he doesn't have to be at work and we can plan something where childcare respite is already built in because school's still in session.
Going.
And so a couple of years now, we've done something special, just the two of us, making a point to take advantage of that kind of time together is something that we've done recently.
Like, do the big things if you can, or the bigger things, like get out and remind yourself that you can still go and do those things while your kids are in school, because if nothing else, they're going to take care of your kid, right? They're going to get an ambulance there. Something's going to happen that, it's not in your control. Nothing is in control. So take the time to go, whether it's with yourself, with your spouse, with your other kids, like go do things without your affected child. It's okay. Like they don't always want to be drug everywhere, and everybody kind of deserves their own time in the places they like to be.
Will you tell that story about how you would incorporate different holidays into Ava's therapy?
Yeah, sure. When Ava was younger, and we were really working on her trying to walk as well as very tuned into her CVI, I used to turn our hallway into a holiday sensory run. Essentially, I would go out to a craft store and I would buy all kinds of things that were either tactily, visually, or auditorily engaging that had a holiday theme. And I would place those things down my hall to try to encourage her to explore and move along through, not only did we work on it from a walking and a hand use and a vision standpoint, but it also kind of helped cement some of those foundations of time passing and what do we do as a tradition year after year. And, how does that, even tie into things like, is it snowing? We're in Colorado, so different times of the year related to different weather and things of that nature. So we had a lot of fun with that. There's lots of cheap things to find and use. And another little secret is I sometimes went to the pet store because cat toys really have some auditorily great things going for them that our kids enjoy. So you could be creative, think outside the box, and you don't have to spend a lot of money on that. And I think just one other thought on that is as Ava's gotten older, I use that concept in sensory bins more, where I use colors or shapes or things that describe the season or the holiday to kind of try to shake it up for her, right? Nobody wants to do the same thing over and over again.
Right. How would you get things to stick to your walls?
So a lot of it was double-sided tape. Since then, when you think about things like garland or things that are long, there's so many of those little, the little sticky things that can go onto your wall.
Like the command hooks?
The commandos, yeah. You can use them and nothing's going to stick. Also thumbtacks, things of that nature. It's not like Ava was like, I didn't feel like limited by safety because I felt like if something was getting thumbtacked in, like she didn't have the dexterity with her fingers to be pulling it out. And And she really was, she wasn't confident enough in her walking to stand there and like yank something off of the wall. So you should be able to do it without much harm with all of the great uh, command type
Yeah.
sets out there today.
It's also, taking that same idea, but using it with someone who doesn't walk or isn't trying to walk. When we would do a little room with my son,
Hmm.
and he would be lying on his back and surrounded by, even we used black, like trifold boards. You can get those at the
Yeah.
dollar store, hanging different things for visual
Up,
stimulation, auditory stimulation, and up above,
yeah, up above
dangling.
there.
Yeah. One thing we got years ago that we still use is, I'll link it in the notes. It's I don't even know what it's called. It's like a dangle frame. It's a crossbar, and you can hang different things from it using like those little, things they have for babies. The link toys, the
Link
links.
toys. Yep, the links.
Yeah, and we did that quite a bit, and then we just put black around, and my son was pretty successful peeking at those things when he was a baby,
Well, then
and batting at things.
batting.
Hmm.
And safety aside, like you have to decide what's safe for your family. But I think a lot of our kids have modified beds, sleep safe beds, things like that. And if you feel like your kid is spending more time in bed than you would like them to, like enhance their bed. Use the boards even. Maybe if you don't want to put it right on the bed, use a board that you can take out of there because of course you don't want them choking themselves or strangling. But I think there's so much like stimulation that you can provide in any environment that doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be grand, right? A little
Hmm.
board with 6 different things that they can touch or look at or explore is very enriching to them. I really do think that, shaking that kind of stuff up can really help, prevent boredom.
Yeah, and it's so nice to be able to make those changes based on different holidays, because it does anchor them to sort of what the different holiday experiences are, and seasonal experiences are, and things like that. When Gregory was in the hospital, we used to do EEGs all the time in his first couple of years. Of course, we haven't had one forever now, but when he was little, we had him all the time. And when your kid is in the hospital, at least in our hospital, they have, I guess they were cribs. They almost look like jail cells, right? They have all the bars.
Mhm.
So I used to bring links and things to dangle in the hospital crib when he was having an EEG or whatever. And one of the nurses came in one day. She goes, "Well, it's like Mardi Gras in here." I laugh, but it's that same thing. Like, I feel a lot of pressure actually to make sure my son isn't feeling bored. That is a big stressor of mine, because he's not independent and he's not mobile, and so if I don't put something for him to engage with, he'll literally just sit there, and that stresses me out. So I'm always looking for things to do that he might engage with, but those dangly things, and I'm gonna look for things for the holidays that are coming up.
I'll have to see if I can look back through old blogs or find any photos, and
Yeah,
we can link them in the notes for that. But
yeah,
yeah,
that would be awesome.
and I even with an ambulatory kid, like most of my guilt is she, is she entertained? Is she happy? Does she need
Yeah,
something different? So
it's hard.
yeah. So the one thing we can do is switch it up.
Right, change it up.
Switch up the same thing.
Right.
It's a fresh coat of paint. So
Oh, that's funny. All right. Well, to wrap up our conversation, just quickly, what advice would you give to a fellow CDKL5 caregiver to make it through holidays and enjoy them?
don't pressure yourself to make the holiday perfect is the first thing I'd say. You'll figure out what a good holiday means to you in time. And one thing I wish I would have done more in the past was allowed people to help me, um, even when that help didn't live up to my standards. Just having family from out of town, let them watch your baby for an hour so you can go have coffee with someone, your friend, your spouse. Y- the world's not going to fall apart. And the sooner you can start to let go of that, the easier you're going to be able to transition your child as the years roll on. And also, just appreciate that you need those breaks and make it more of a priority to get yourself into the mode of I need to go out and do whatever, whether it's grocery shopping or and allowing somebody else to take the reins. Like, right, it could be messy, but as long as They know what the safety, as long as they know when to call and how to administer a rescue med. I mean, I think, everybody's going to make it, and you will get better at things not being perfect or the way you want them to be done.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think for me, I've kind of gotten it down, the like making sure I give myself grace about the holiday not going how I would hope. I've gotten pretty good at that. What I want to work on is pushing myself to still get out, because sometimes I'll be too quick to say, well, it's easier to be home and I'm okay to be home, because I know my son loves to get out, and it's more work for me and more stress for me, but it's always worth it. And, we have something coming up where they're going to light the Christmas tree in our town, and we're going to a sensory thing that our town is putting on, which is actually awesome that they're doing it. A friend of mine is leading that, and we've done it the past couple of years. So go to the sensory activity. And then I was going to stay for the tree lighting, but then I've been hemming and hawing, like, well, maybe I won't really stay. But no, I'm going to stay. I'm going to stay. We're going to go. And just to kind of push myself to get out there too.
Well,
Yes.
it's okay if you don't stay, right? You can
I
plan to
know.
stay and say, I'm going to stay, but like
I'm
the worst
stay.
imaginable thing might
We're
pop
gonna
up and you're going to be
go.
like, I got to go. So,
It does seem like it's going to be really cold though, so maybe I won't go.
well, just be easy on yourself. Like, I mean, to
Yes.
say we need to get out more and to set that goal is perfect, but you can't, we can't be rigid about
No, I
anything
know.
else.
I know. I know. You're right. All right. Well, it was great to talk to you.
You as well.
I'll talk to you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening. We hope you'll follow us on social media at CDKL5 in color on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and visit us online at cdkl5incolor.com. Have questions or a topic you'd like us to chat about? Would you like to be a guest on our podcast? Email us, cdkl5incolor@gmail.com, and we'll be in touch. Until next time.